This is what the left thinks is important in the Stormy Daniels hush money misdemeanor case. This is what they hope you focus on. And to quote your favorite president and mine, unbelievably, this is not a joke.
Well, the excitement and anticipation in the room hit a new high at 10:32 a.m. She entered wearing all black, as if on her way to a funeral. The loose-fitting, plain black clothing draping from her shoulders to her toes suggested the modesty of a nun.
I honestly, I don't know what the hell that was. I don't know how something like that makes it through writers. I would imagine that show has writers. I don't know what the hell these people are thinking, but I do know that the left is absolutely panicking about the Trump prosecutions. I mean, every single one of them, thankfully. But they're especially panicked about Stormy Daniels. I mean, just listen to some of the angles these people think are going to hold it together for the viewers that they have just spent all this time tricking into thinking that what was happening here is justice.
On the fact that Stormy Daniels now claims that she is a medium and that she communicates with dead people and has participated in a TV series about the paranormal where she explores things, including the fact that at one point an ex-boyfriend of hers was inhabited by spirits. She was mocking Stormy Daniels. She wants the jury to think Stormy Daniels is a liar and she is crazy. And she also wants the jurors to judge her for her occupation. And Stormy Daniels gave no ground on that. As Sue just said, she might be an exotic dancer, an adult film actor, but she was very clear when Susan Neckles used the phrase selling yourself to describe what Stormy Daniels was doing on a tour where she was making appearances at clubs. Stormy Daniels set her straight. I was not selling myself. I was dancing. The implication always was, I am not a sex worker, and I don't have a sign around my neck that says consent given freely to everyone at any time.
Right.
She was a woman who seemed pretty self-possessed, in control of her own body, and wanting to maintain, essentially, to quote Pretty Woman, I say who, I say when, and not, you know, Donald Trump was mine, that I was for the taking by this man. I increasingly see what Trump did to Stormy Daniels, and she used the phrase, what happened to me, more insidiously than I think I ever have. It is a reinforcement of the predator frame that the Access Hollywood tape introduced.
I don't mean to laugh, man. That is serious stuff, but just listen to it. They're all over the place, man. They go from insisting that Stormy Daniels is just some strong and powerful woman who does what she wants, when she wants, with whoever she wants. They went from that to saying that she was victimized by a predator, Trump, all while trying to convince us that communicating with dead people through your possessed boyfriend, that's not crazy at all. It's totally normal. That's no big deal. I mean, you would think this stuff would wake up at least a few of the victims of this network. I mean, it's got to wake them up, right? I mean, this is all crazy. It's all insane. None of it is important to a criminal case, and none of what she said matters. Nothing Daniels said on the stand is a crime. And if it was a crime, it was her crime. I mean, the things that she claimed, along with the recording of Davis, her attorney, shows pretty clearly that this was a shakedown. This was extortion. And somehow the state of New York thought that was a good idea. I mean, the state thought that this was going to be some sort of smoking gun, which is remarkable stuff when you think about it. I thought these were good prosecutors. I don't know.
So, Danny, 7.5 hours or so of testimony from Stormy Daniels over a couple of days. Truly, you just have to stop and consider the surreal, historic nature of it. A former actress sitting across from a former president of the United States making these accusations at him while he's in the middle of a presidential campaign, by the way. But from your point of view, from where you're sitting, at the end of the day, what kind of witness was Stormy Daniels for the prosecution?
Unnecessary. Stormy Daniels, in my view, represents an unnecessary risk for the prosecution. Here's why. I can't think of any piece of evidence that they got from Stormy Daniels on the prosecution that they couldn't have gotten or didn't already get from other witnesses. The transaction from Cohen to Daniels was established through other witnesses, including Keith Davidson, her former lawyer. To the extent that the value of her story increased as the election approached, we've already heard that evidence from other witnesses. So you may say, well, look, Stormy Daniels was about context. And that's true. But when you think about all the other witnesses, Madeleine Westerhout, Hope Hicks, people with really unimpeachable credibility, if you could get that evidence from them, why risk Stormy Daniels? Because you saw in Stormy Daniels a request for a mistrial, which was going to be denied. But in my view, the very first major appealable issue that you might see up at the appellate division. So if the prosecution gets a conviction and this case comes back in 2 years and it's overturned, the conviction, then the prosecution's going to ask themselves, was it worth the risk?
Of course it's worth the risk, man. I don't know what this guy thinks is really going on, but these people are not working for a conviction. I mean, this is an election interference operation only. This is a campaign event. I mean, a conviction would be icing on the cake for these people, but they do not care about a conviction. They care about slinging mud and tying the man up in court and get him off the campaign trail. That is all this is about.
If the reason that the conviction's overturned is testimony that was given by Stormy Daniels, especially if they could have gotten that information from somewhere else. And I'll just say, look, I'm in the minority. I don't think Stormy Daniels performed particularly well on cross-examination. Witnesses, she's one of those witnesses that just decided, I am not going to give a yes or no answer because I know that's what the cross-examining attorney wants. She fought back at every turn. And yes, to some extent, did she zing Donald Trump and the cross-examining attorney, Susan Nichols? Yes, but at the same time, witnesses who refuse to answer yes or no, refuse to give an inch, sometimes juries see them as concealing things. And that's what Stormy Daniels did.
When that is the takeaway on MSNBC, on the Morning Joe of all places, that's bad, man. There is no other way to look at it. That is bad. Stormy Daniels was not good for the Stormy Daniels hush money misdemeanor case. And here's the thing I think Democrats are starting to recognize, starting to realize. It is highly likely that Donald Trump is found not guilty in New York. And it's just as likely that none of the other cases are going to happen before the election if they ever do happen. And all that's going to do is make everything he ever said about witch hunts or the weaponization of courts, it's just going to make it look all completely true. And it is true. It's going to make people realize that it's true. And it's going to make him look like a friggin' dragon slayer, man. And the left sees it coming. They are absolutely terrified. And I think pretty soon we're going to start seeing a lot of finger pointing and a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking when they all really start to realize that this is not going to be the reason that they win. This is going to be the reason that they lose. And I found a pretty fantastic clip, man. Leftists, they're even starting to feel the heat in England.
You know, let's ask you first of all, what do you make of the trial, and how damaging do you think, you'll have heard Anthony Zurcher there perhaps, how damaging could it be to Donald Trump?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to be Trump's attorney general. I've been trolling people, and I've made that very clear. I would say the fact that this woman you just had on, did you say that she was a porn star? And
no,
one of
I said she was an adult. I said she was an adult film star. She's a friend of Stormy Daniels, who you will have heard said that she was in the room that night. She was on the phone that night when Stormy Daniels called her and Donald Trump spoke to her. So she was commenting on how the trial was going. But I wonder how you think the trial is going.
Well, I think it's perfectly fitting that a porn star would be on your show and talking about a alleged sexual encounter that they were trying to arrange in 2006. This is complete and total nonsense. This is garbage. This is about trying to humiliate President Trump and to interfere in the 2024 presidential election.
That's exactly what this is, man. And the media knows it. The Democrats know it. And they see it all backfiring. They feel it backfiring. And truthfully, this is exactly why. I mean, in years past, other administrations, they've proceeded with extreme caution when it comes to prosecuting or even investigating political rivals, political opponents. I mean, the optics alone, the optics are really, really bad. And it's highly likely that it all blows up in your face. And really, when you think about it, I mean, nothing the Democrats have done in the last 4 years has been successful. I mean, they haven't been good at anything. I don't know what made them think that they could actually pull this off.
This alleged encounter that Stormy Daniels says happened was in 2006. There was a settlement of a nuisance claim and put in the books in 2017, and somehow that interfered in the election in 2016 with this 2017 accounting, and somehow that was a bookkeeping misdemeanor that President Trump's accountants booked in his books as a legal expense.
And this is all what's being debated in court. But you said on Fox News 2 weeks ago that the court's illegal. Clearly, there is an illegal, unconstitutional gag order here. Why do you think that's true? I mean, do you think any defendant should be able to speak out about the judge?
Yeah, I mean, don't you? If you can't speak out, you can't use your own voice to call attention to what's being done to you, then you got nothing. You have absolutely nothing. In almost every other case, the state does not want a defendant to shut up. They want them out there saying whatever they want to say, because it's highly likely that they're going to say something that the state can actually use against them. You know, the whole thing, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. That's real. I mean, but in this case, the state knows that they're wrong. The state knows that they have plenty to hide. So they have got to shut this guy up. I mean, just think about this. The Brian Kohlberger case. I don't know if you guys are following that at all, but if he started tweeting about his innocence or giving press conferences about a witch hunt, they would treat him like an absolute crazy person. They'd be like, bro, dude, we've got your DNA. We got your cell phone data. You're F, bro. They're not going to gag that guy because they don't care what he says, because everyone will know he's crazy. But in Trump's case, they have to shut him up.
Yeah, in the United States of America, we have something called the Constitution, and we have the First Amendment and the Sixth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. And if there's anyone on the planet who should have the constitutional right to speak out against the judge, the prosecutor, their staffs, the witnesses, their biases, the process, it is a criminal defendant going through the criminal process. You don't gag criminal defendants in America. I don't know what you guys do in the United Kingdom, but in America, we have constitutional rights, and they've turned the Constitution on its head by gagging a criminal defendant, while this judge, whose adult daughter, Lauren Michon, is raising millions of dollars off of this case, requiring her recusal under New York statute, is allowing Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. Stormy Daniels, a porn star who's raising money off this trial on her Penn Twitter profile, on her Penn tweet on Twitter, on X. And you have Michael Cohen, who's a disbarred attorney and a convicted perjurer, raising money on TikTok. And now you just had this bimbo porn star say that President Trump... I think
calling a bimbo porn star is pretty offensive. And I'd like to ask you what you make of the trial in terms of the possibility that actually, in a way, that Donald Trump could benefit, certainly from his base, but benefit because you might have heard Anthony Zurcher saying that it is having an impact on the campaign. It may not be a negative one.
You just had a bimbo porn star come out and accuse President Trump of trying to have a threesome with Stormy Daniels. This woman is so credible that the prosecutor doesn't want to call her in to be a witness. I mean,
let's just be quite clear. Let me just ask you a question. You think it is totally outlandish that Donald Trump would ever have a threesome? I just want to ask you that. Totally outlandish. Would never happen.
It's not relevant at all to this criminal prosecution. And that's the point of Stormy Daniels' testimony. Not only is it not relevant under Rule 401 of the Rules of Evidence, it is unfairly prejudicial under Rule 403.
She walked right into that one, man. That is exactly the point. The media and even the prosecution, man, all they want is to get salacious stuff out there. They want as much prejudicial material on the record and in front of the jury as they can possibly get, because they have no evidence. They have no real crime. So if they can get the jury to believe that, he's just some really, really bad guy, he must have done something. That's what they're looking for. I can hear the pitch now, do it for Melania, justice for Melania. That's what you see all the mush brains talking about on the internet. They can't prove a crime, so they just have to make the guy look guilty of everything, basically. I mean, this is how the state of New York ended up getting the Weinstein stuff overturned. And this dude is not backing down. He is going to say bimbo as much as he possibly can.
And the fact that this judge has President Trump gagged where he can't respond to Michael Cohen and he can't respond to Stormy Daniels and this bimbo porn star you just had on who made that malicious smear against President Trump, he can't respond to that or he goes to jail. That just proves what a kangaroo court this is. This is Democrat lawfare and election interference. And frankly, the BBC should be ashamed of itself that you just put a bimbo porn star on.
I think we get the message. I think we get the message about how you're addressing her. Thank you very much for doing this.
What would you call her?
I would call her a woman who happens to be either a film star or she has a job. I don't think that you've any particular locus in this.
She definitely has a job.
Well, let's talk to Alana because she is still here. Do you think, Alana Davis, that you think that Stormy Daniels ever regrets speaking out?
Absolutely not. In fact, I would imagine she was more frustrated that she had to sign a non-disclosure agreement in the first place that stopped her from speaking out.
Reminder, man, she did not have to sign that. She wanted to sign that. Her lawyers were the one pushing that issue. I mean, she was the one shaking down a billionaire. So she's not upset she signed it. If she's upset at all, she's upset she didn't get more. And now that she's out there trying to get more, the case is all falling apart because of it. I mean, obviously, who knows what's going to happen? Anything can happen. We don't know how the defense is going to go. We don't know who they're going to call. We don't know if Trump will testify. I don't think he will. I mean, the way things are looking, he won't need to, because the way this thing is tracking right now, even in New York, this is not going to be a win for the state. And if that's the case, everything about the Democrats' plan is going to fail. And dude, I mean, you got to ask, man, would it not have been an easier plan? Wouldn't it have been a better plan to just govern well, to just do a good job? If they had just done a good job, they wouldn't have to do all these things. They wouldn't have to be destroying every system they can to try and stop a guy. If they just hadn't failed, I mean, half as much, if they just done half as good a job, right? If you just try to be a good president, you probably wouldn't have to arrest your political opponents. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That's just my take, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.